In late September 1982, something invisible began moving through the Chicago area. It didn't stalk victims. It didn't break into homes. It didn't leave fingerprints. It waited quietly. Inside medicine cabinets, the first victim was 12-year-old Mary Kellerman. She woke up feeling sick. Her parents gave her extra-strength Tylenol. Within hours, she collapsed. Doctors were confused. There were no visible injuries, no signs of trauma, no clear cause. Soon after, 27-year-old postal worker Adam Janus died suddenly. His family gathered to mourn. His brother and sister-in-law took Tylenol from the same bottle in his home. They collapsed too. Within days, 7 people were dead. They were different ages, different backgrounds, different neighborhoods. The only connection, they had taken Tylenol capsules. The discovery that followed would shock the nation. Authorities tested capsules from the bottles. Inside, they found something lethal: potassium cyanide, a poison so powerful that even a small amount can kill within minutes. Someone had taken ordinary store-bought Tylenol, opened the capsules, replaced the medicine with cyanide, sealed them back up, and returned them to store shelves. This was not a personal crime. This was random. Anyone who walked into a pharmacy could have become a victim. Panic spread instantly. News stations warned viewers not to consume Tylenol. Hospitals were flooded with concerned patients. Parents threw away medicine bottles across the country. Within days, millions of bottles were pulled from shelves nationwide. The manufacturer, Johnson & Johnson, faced a nightmare scenario. A trusted household product had become a weapon. But the most chilling part, there was no suspect, no clear target, no pattern. The killer had chosen randomness, and randomness is terrifying. Investigators from the Chicago Police Department and the FBI began piecing together the timeline. The poisoned bottles were traced back to stores in the Chicago metropolitan area. It appeared the killer had purchased bottles, taken them home, tampered with them, and then returned them to store shelves. This meant the crime required patience, planning, and calm execution. There was no chaos at the crime scenes, no witnesses, no surveillance footage in 1982, just sealed bottles and death. As the investigation deepened, authorities realized something chilling. The killer didn't need to watch the victims die. He didn't need to confront them. He didn't need recognition. That may have been the goal. Within days, America entered a state of pharmaceutical paranoia. People avoided over-the-counter medicine. Hospitals changed procedures. Stores removed products en masse. The country had never seen a crime like this. It wasn't just murder. It was psychological warfare. Then came a letter. A typed note was sent demanding money, $1 million, to stop the poisonings. The writer claimed responsibility, but investigators were skeptical. Was this the killer, or someone exploiting the chaos? The letter added another layer of confusion. The FBI analyzed fingerprints, handwriting, paper type, but solid evidence remained elusive. Meanwhile, autopsies confirmed the same cause of death in all 7 victims: cyanide poisoning. Fast, violent, almost unstoppable once ingested. The victims never had a chance, and the killer never needed proximity. As the days passed, no new poisonings were reported, which raised a haunting possibility. Had the killer only planned 7 deaths, or had the media exposure prevented more? Authorities feared copycats. They feared escalation. They feared that anyone could repeat this method, because the terrifying truth was simple. It was easy. Buy a bottle, open it, replace contents, return it. No alarms, no security cameras, no metal detectors, just trust. And trust had been shattered. By October 1982, the case had become one of the largest criminal investigations in U.S. history. Thousands of interviews were conducted. Tips poured in from across the country. Leads were chased relentlessly. Yet the central question remained: who would do this, and why? Was it revenge, extortion, an attempt to cause chaos, a desire for attention? The killer's silence was deafening. The randomness was calculated. and the fear was permanent. The Tylenol murders would change America forever. But at this moment in 1982, the killer was still free, and no one knew if the next bottle on a shelf would be safe. As October progressed, the pressure mounted. 7 deaths, national panic, a poisoned household name. The FBI knew this case could not go cold. Every forensic method available in 1982 was deployed. Cyanide sources were traced. Chemical suppliers were questioned. Purchase records were reviewed. Potassium cyanide was not impossible to obtain, especially at the time. That made the suspect pool enormous. Anyone with basic chemical knowledge could have done it. Attention soon focused on one man, James William Lewis. He had sent the extortion letter demanding $1 million to stop the killings. Lewis had a complicated past, legal troubles, fraud allegations, a history of deception. But was he a killer? Authorities arrested him for extortion. He denied poisoning anyone. He claimed the letter was a scheme to expose security weaknesses. Investigators examined his background intensely, but there was no direct physical evidence linking him to the cyanide bottles. No fingerprints, no witnesses, no traceable purchase. Lewis was convicted of extortion, not murder. The case against him for the killings remained circumstantial, and decades later, it still does. Meanwhile, Johnson & Johnson made a historic decision. They recalled 31 million bottles of Tylenol nationwide, at a cost exceeding $100 million. It was one of the largest product recalls in history. The company introduced tamper-evident packaging, triple seal systems, plastic neck bands, foil seals. What we now consider normal safety packaging was born from this crime. Federal anti-tampering laws were strengthened. The entire pharmaceutical industry changed because of one invisible killer. Yet the investigation stalled. No new poisonings occurred. No additional credible confessions surfaced. The killer had vanished as silently as he had appeared. Over the years, the FBI reopened the case multiple times. Advances in forensic science allowed retesting of evidence. DNA technology was applied to preserved materials. But even modern methods failed to produce definitive answers. Speculation grew. Some profilers suggested the killer sought control, a sense of power, the ability to cause fear nationwide without being seen. Others theorized financial motives. The extortion letter hinted at greed, but the randomness of victims suggested something else. Perhaps the goal was notoriety, or perhaps the killer simply wanted to prove he could disrupt society, that he could reach into homes without stepping inside. The Tylenol murders remain officially unsolved. James William Lewis denied involvement until his death. Authorities never charged anyone with the murders. No courtroom ever heard a full confession tied to the cyanide capsules, and the families of the 7 victims never received final closure. What makes this case endure is not just the deaths, it is the vulnerability it exposed. Before 1982, consumers assumed safety. After 1982, trust required proof. The crime reshaped law, corporate responsibility, product design, national awareness, and yet, the killer remains a shadow. Somewhere in 1982, a person walked into stores calmly, placed poisoned bottles on shelves, and left unnoticed. That individual may have watched the news unfold, may have seen the panic, may have understood the scale of what they had done. Or perhaps they blended back into normal life, a neighbor, a coworker, a stranger in line. The terrifying part of the Tylenol murders is not just the poison, it is the simplicity. No weapon, no confrontation, no dramatic chase. Just a quiet act that rippled across an entire nation. 40 years later, the question still lingers. Was the killer ever truly identified? Or did one of the most chilling criminals in American history simply walk away? Subscribe Criminal Verse, where every crime hides a story.